And welcome to a panel talking about DSPs. I guess I should know that. In particular, what we're going to do is spend some time with a couple of people from the DSP side, and then also bring in the artist perspective from an artist management capacity. So let me first introduce you to Alina Thompson. Alina is with Pandora Sirius XM. She is the Senior Manager of Artist Marketing and Industry Relations at Pandora Sirius XM. She's involved with managing the relationships of the labels and artists, overseeing release plans, securing the marketing support, and educating users on their tools. Prior to her work at SiriusXM, she was with the CMA as a manager of marketing and partnerships. And for those not involved in the country music industry, the CMA is the Country Music Association. And she has also worked with the music strategy team at CMT. So welcome, Alina. Why don't you tell them what I missed?
You hit it all right on the head. So I'm currently at Pandora Sirius XM, and you really gave a great overview of my role here, but heavily involved with talent relations with labels and management to put together marketing plans for focused single releases and albums from their artists, working with our sales team to put on branded country events here in Nashville. And yeah, so it's a good time.
Great. Well, you stay on with us, and then I'm going to next introduce Amanda Cates. Amanda is with an artist management firm in Nashville, Tennessee, Maverick Nashville. She oversees all of the new business development, marketing initiative, digital strategy for their partners, and then also fan engagement for their roster of artists, and they have some artists. Prior to her joining Maverick in 2009, if I've got that right, she studied music industry and Appalachian State University, which another person that just presented is a faculty member there, Kim. She is also started her career at a different artist management firm, then got put her toes in the water in the venture capital mobile startup, and then took those two industries, merged them together, and joined Maverick Nashville as the head of marketing and all things digital. So, all right, Amanda, tell me what I missed.
Oh no, that's it. I figured out that I guess artist managers are the entrepreneurs of the music industry, and so I've always sort of fit in that weird entrepreneurial world. It's just nice to have, actual health benefits now, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think the direction of this panel, and we are, for the audience, we are expecting one more guest. Hopefully she'll be able to join us, but if not, we've got two brilliant minds here, so we'll move forward. But what I want to do is talk about the tools that the digital platforms have available to the artist, regardless of the artist's level. And then I want to bring in the perspective of the artist and the artist manager, what works, what doesn't. And I just see, perfect timing, I see our other guest showing up. So Heather, let me introduce you, and then we'll kick it off. So Heather is a product manager for Spotify for Artists. She attended the University of Miami, majored in music business. She first joined Pandora in 2015. I saw an email between you and Alina, and you guys kind of barely overlapped in your tenure there. And then after Pandora, she found her way to Spotify. She is a strong advocate for a more democratized music marketing economy. She wants to drive opportunities for artists. And going back a little further, she had her hands in the record and distribution side. But she's very much music tech, not artist tech, but music tech. So Heather, what did I miss? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I had to unmute. That's basically the history. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm a few minutes late here. You pretty much covered it though. I've got a background in various versions of marketing on the label side and then on the DSP side. So let's get into it.
And I guess let me say one more thing before we get started. Both you mentioned to me and Amanda mentioned to me that both of you were members of the MEIEA student organization. So I think that's cool. We have a MEIEA meeting, and we have a couple of the people who've come up through the university system in that. So, all right. So as I was saying a moment ago, I want to start out by talking about some of the tools that are available to artists on the digital streaming platforms, and maybe give us some sense without, sharing any proprietary information of what examples of these work, how these work. And then I also want to kick it over to Amanda to kind of put her view in from the other side of the desk, how the artists are using your tools. So, Alina, you want to kick it off?
Sure. So just a quick 2-second history on Pandora. We obviously launched as a radio streaming platform first, and then several years later came in with on-demand streaming. So this just means you can listen to stations, you can listen to playlists, you can search, click, play any song you want to hear. So a lot of fluidity in the experience there, but we are very well known for our thumbs. So when you're listening to a station on Pandora, you can thumb up a song or thumb down a song, and that is going to play into the algorithm that is serving you music. So everything is very highly personalized through both the algorithm and our human curators. It's kind of a blend of both worlds now. But we are known a lot for the thumb data that we can see based on stations and songs and what fans are leaning into. So all that being said, there are a lot of tools on our AMP platform, which is our artist marketing platform, that are all free and very user-friendly for artists and their teams to use. There are featured tracks, which is basically going to let an artist go in and feature a song for 8 weeks. And for that period of time, it's going to cast a wider net with the algorithm, and it's going to program it on more stations and more places than it normally would. And you'll see that increase in stream for that 8-week period. And it's just kind of blasting it out and giving it more exposure. And you'll see, how that reacts with the thumb data and how the fans react to that. And those can run for 8 weeks, and artists get to do 6 of those a year, I think. So 6 times 8, that's almost every week of the year you could have a featured track running for your artist. And then another big tool is our artist audio messages. So these are great for a lot of reasons. They can really be used to amplify whatever your marketing initiative is at the time. So they're audio messages from the artist that you have full control over how they're experienced. So you can pin them, you can put them before a certain song, after a certain song, before the entire catalog, after the entire catalog. You get to upload the artwork, you get to insert a call to action link. So if an artist has a new single come out, you could run an audio message at the end of their whole catalog, thanking their fans for listening, prompting them to tap now to hear the brand new single. You could drive to a single, you could drive to an album. We see a lot of success with ticket sales for artists who do tour specific liners, because you can also target the audio message by geographic location. So, hey, Cincinnati, thanks so much for listening to my music. Tap now for tickets for my show, coming to you soon, or something like that. So there's a lot of ways you can use the audio message feature to kind of bulk up your marketing plan and really help drive listeners to a specific point you're trying to take them to. And then the third really big marketing tool in AMP is going to be our hosted playlists, also known as Pandora Stories. So I always tell people to think of these as like a track by track of an album experience, where an artist goes through, tells the story behind the song, and the song plays, tells a story about the next one. That's basically what you get to build, but the creative possibilities there are truly sky's the limit. So you can pull in any music on Pandora. So whether it's your music, a different artist's music, anything like that. You can add audio commentary from any creative. So it doesn't have to be that artist's voice. It could be the artist. It could be a songwriter talking about what it was like to write with the artist that day on a track. It could be the producer. It could be the artist's mom talking about the first time she heard a song that maybe was written about moms. There's a lot of fun ways where collaborators can work together to tell a story and allow your fans to get to know the artist and their music just in a different way. So those are a really fun tool, and you get to sequence everything, the songs, the audio pieces, and build it to, whatever it is creatively you're trying to build. So those are three really big ones. Featured tracks, audio messages, and Pandora stories are all free tools on the Pandora platform that you can use as much or as little as you want, but we certainly see, those who lean in and really utilize those tools reap the benefits for sure.
Thank you. That's exactly the sort of information that I was hoping we would hear here today. And that was here, HEAR, here. So as an educator, one of the things that I want to be able to bring to the students is both tools that the students can use if they are an artist, but also an understanding of those tools so that if they are entering from the business perspective, artist management label, wherever, they can already have a working knowledge of these tools. And it's interesting, at least in my experience, so very anecdotal, I don't know that a lot of students have a full grasp of the tools at their disposal. So I'll move now to Heather. And Heather, why don't you share with us what's going on at Spotify?
Absolutely. And first of all, Alina, I loved hearing that. That's the first time for anyone who didn't get the connection here. I managed Pandora's artist marketing platform for 4 years. So I actually helped launch all of the tools that Alina just talked about.
The description justice.
You did a beautiful job. I love hearing the talking points out of somebody else's mouth. Incredible. I am now at Spotify, working for Spotify for Artists. And the array of tools at artist disposal for Spotify is pretty diverse. There's some of the tools that sort of help the artist administratively, things like the playlist pitching tool, the artist music submission tool. But when it comes to marketing tools, there are several options that really serve different artists at different points in their career. For all artists at every end of the spectrum, we have a tool called Discovery Mode, which helps. It's actually sort of similar to Pandora's featured tracks, where it helps promote a single track at a time, where the artist or the artist representative can select that track to sort of be boosted in the algorithm experience and play more frequently based on real listeners' listening habits. So we're kind of finding the right person for the right song at the right time. And then for artists who meet, I believe it's a minimum threshold of 15,000 monthly active listeners, we're in the process of expanding access to a tool called MEIEA, which is used at the album or new music release moment, and is basically pretty much anyone who's used Spotify has definitely seen one of these before, maybe just not knowing what it's called, but that is the sort of full screen takeover notification that a top fan will get when they open their Spotify app and one of their favorite artists has just released new music. So that's MEIEA. And then we also have a number of sort of like expression tools, things like Canvas. Those are the looping videos that play in the now playing screen when you're listening to a song. Those have been really fun to watch, literally and in the more broad scope, where it's been really fun to see how that Canvas has become a kind of like a content type for a lot of artists, where they're thinking about the use of that tool when they're launching their song, about how do they come up with the creative and the visuals to really connect that song with that visual moment and that sort of focused attention grabbing opportunity, which is interesting. I didn't work on that tool when it was first launched, but to my understanding, it wasn't meant to be a completely new content type. I think a lot of the thought process there was that it would be like a little grab from a music video, but it turned into something that a lot of really compelling original content is being created for, which is super exciting. And then the part of Spotify for Artists that I do work on is an area that's focused entirely on generating non-royalty revenue for artists. So this is everything from selling merch, which is a huge part of my life, selling merch to like direct donations and fundraising for charitable causes, as well as tickets and new types of experiences that we're working on now. And all of those sort of additional businesses that can happen within the platform on top of just straight up music streaming is a huge area of opportunity for us. So it's a big focus right now, not only to create those offerings, but to market those offerings to top fans on our platform using programs like our Fans First program, which is super exciting. And I'll actually just explain that before wrapping up my explanation here. But the Fans First program is another one of our more white glove marketing programs where an artist can work with us when they have new music, a new tour, or exclusive merch to sell through our platform. And they can do that via the Fans First program, which is an email campaign that goes out to top artists or top fans, excuse me. And the artist and fan both know through getting familiar with the Fans First brand that this is a highly targeted, exclusive experience. And so those campaigns usually perform really well. And full disclosure, I currently have a little bit of COVID, so my brain's a little broken. But artists and fans are both familiar with the Fans First brand as an exclusive offering. So it's something that fans get really excited to be surprised by when it pops up in their inbox and they have a chance to either attend a show or purchase a piece of merch or listen to music that is brand new.
And again, that would be something that would be more of an established artist tool, Heather, is that right?
Typically speaking, yes, because that's like a white glove program. It doesn't necessarily mean that the artist has to be like a mega superstar. It's something that developing artists have access to as well, but it is typically something that we work with directly with the artist team rather than like a DIY artist.
Got it. I do have a question already. This one is for Heather, and it says, so since we're talking with you, I'll bring it now. Spotify is testing pre-save campaigns like Flow in the Machine, direct via platform. Can you provide insights into data that will be provided via S4A, and can you provide insights into the Shopify NFT integration?
Okay, I can tell you a lot about Shopify because that's my whole life. For pre-save campaigns, I unfortunately don't know a lot about the plans for what that reporting is going to look like, but there is a lot going on behind the scenes right now about updates to like reporting and analytics on the platform. So there should be more about that soon. I'm sorry, I can't tell you more now. But as far as Shopify is concerned, the Shopify integration is really interesting because, as we know, Shopify is a huge player in the industry. There are so many artists using it for so many reasons. And NFTs in particular are a really interesting area of opportunity. And it's kind of a chicken and egg situation because the artists who are into doing NFTs also have to have fans who are interested in purchasing and participating in like Web3 based activity. So it's interesting that interesting for us that Shopify already has some of that happening on their platform because we've now had our integration with them live out in the world in beta for 6 months-ish. And we're seeing how people are naturally using it. We're seeing the kinds of questions that we're getting for participation. And feel free to send like a follow-up to this, but just as a broad answer to your question, there's a lot of opportunity there. We're interested in it. We're watching how artists and fans alike are participating with NFTs. And we're also seeing how the NFT community, like the Web3 blockchain community, is interested in using Spotify, which is also a huge piece of the puzzle.
That could be really unique to be able to buy. For instance, that content in Canvas. What if that was an NFT you could buy? So, you could pull it right out.
Exactly. No, questions like that are exactly the kinds of questions that we're asking.
Amanda, I want to come to you next as the artist management representative here. And we're hearing about all these great tools that are at your disposal. And I know you have, I guess, would you mind sharing who your clients are, your management clients are, so that the audience can get a sense of the artists you work with?
Absolutely. We have, let's see. All right, you put me on the spot. Let me not forget anybody. All right. I represent Reba McEntire, Brooks and Dunn, Jason Aldean, Rascal Flatts, Darius Rucker, Hootie and the Blowfish, Rachel Womack, Terry Clark, LV Shane, and John Morgan. I think that's everyone.
That's a lot.
Alina's giving me the thumbs up. She's like, yeah, I'm tired of you talking to me about all these people.
So that is, you have the superstars from the 90s and that are still very, very active. We all know what Brooks and Dunn and Reba are just still all over the place. And then you've got your current superstars of Jason, and then you've got Rascal Flatts, also another superstar. So you have quite a roster, but then you also have Rachel and LV. Rachel and LV both being new, LV now having had a number one. So there is that. So I'd love to get a sense from you on how you have worked with these artists. And I know that you created a PowerPoint. Do you want to share your screen now, or do you want to just chat?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to preface this by saying Heather and Alina just did an amazing job of explaining their artist tools. And I'm going to attempt to show you how I've done some of the cool things that they talked about. It says you're sharing the screen. I don't think I can. I think you have to.
Okay, let me stop and let me try that again.
Let me try it now. Here we go.
Okay, you got it?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Maybe. Is that working for everybody? All right. So the easiest thing to talk about is one of the most recent things that I've been doing. A couple of examples I can speak to really currently are Jason Aldean's 9th and 10th records. They were meant to be a double album. So we released one in November of last year, and we just released the second one in April of this year. And they ended up being his 9th and 10th top 10 albums on the Billboard 200. So Macon, Georgia. So there are a lot of options available to people like superstars, but there are also a lot of options open to up and coming artists. And I think Pandora and Spotify both give you really great tools to do all this stuff. So I'm going to start with Spotify just because that was the first in my deck, not because of any other priority. So here's an example of what Heather was talking about in terms of artist picks. It allows you to leverage your profiles to promote songs, playlists, tour dates, charities, all of these things. We were very intentional about, you see how it's entitled Macon, Georgia, the Complete Collection, because we wanted to have this massive double album release. We were releasing music as frequently as we could between November and April of this year. So it meant that we needed to be really targeted about creating playlists to support each song as we were rolling them out. These two albums had 20 new songs and 10 live tracks. So we're talking 30 songs that I had to release between November and April of this year. So if you see extra wrinkles in my face, that's why. But also it allowed us to keep things really fresh on the platforms and keep our fans on each platform actively engaged. Here's some of the stuff that Heather was just talking about in terms of merch offers. You see, we have the CD up for sale. We have both CDs up for sale. We had a commemorative hoodie up for sale, which probably need to change out since it's not hoodie season anymore. But you get the idea. We were able to integrate directly with Shopify to be able to promote merch. And one of the things that we did really successfully through that merch venture was we had some autographed vinyl. It was commemorative vinyl that you could only get in the artist's online store and I believe at Walmart. So, and the autographed versions were just in our store. So we were able to leverage the Shopify integration on Spotify to help market those signed vinyls that we wouldn't necessarily, we definitely have a marketing budget for somebody like a Jason Aldean, but somebody like an LV Shane, I might not have a marketing budget to spend a bunch of dollars to run ads for my signed vinyl. And I can just promote it directly to my leaned in fans right here on the platform, which is pretty cool. The other thing I highlighted here is our tour dates. You can see that we are able to integrate with most ticketing platforms on Spotify. So everybody from like Songkick to Ticketmaster to Eventbrite and Access, et cetera. And even they did some integrations. During COVID, everybody went virtual. So platforms like Mandolin and Nugs and some of those people that allow you to do online virtual events, Spotify also pulls in that stuff too, which is really cool. And then the other thing that Heather mentioned was Fans First. We did a Fans First pre-sale campaign with Jason for this. So again, there is a bit of a threshold. You have to be able to reach out to Spotify to talk about these things. But because we had a tour that launched for him in February of this year, it was prime real estate with me trying to keep as much of our artists visible between that November and April timeline for us to think about engaging those fans first in Spotify. So we offered them a pre-sale code. So they got to buy tickets before they were available to the general public in a specific Spotify Fans First pre-sale, which worked really well for us. The other thing that's kind of cool about Spotify is that they've got this API integration. So again, it all depends on budget and what you can do with it. But we were able to hire a developer and we launched a bingo game, a small town bingo game that was directly tied into Spotify. So what that allowed us to do was create the sweepstakes. Fans can play, enter for a chance to win a flyaway trip plus $5,000 to the charity of your choice, and merch gift cards while you play bingo. So it's all different bingo cards that have very Jason Aldean centric names on them, all while listening to the music, right? So we were able to integrate directly so that it was very seamless. You could log right into your Spotify player and enjoy the new music while you played the game.
So I have a question about this, if you don't mind. If I came into Spotify, would I see this? Would I know this game was happening? Would it be apparent to me?
This is not even a Spotify promoted thing. This is a Jason Aldean's promoted thing. So we built it based on the tools that they gave us to their API, right? So Spotify is one of the more, Apple allows you some integrations too, but Spotify is the DSP that allows you to integrate most closely to build these kinds of experiences. I would love to be able to incorporate all my DSP partners in these kinds of campaigns, right? But I just can't yet. We're not quite there. But this is an example of something that we were able to do with a big superstar artist that was a fun way for us to engage fans and directly tie back to a premium listening experience, which is what the label wanted us to do.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then ads, and the marquee is what I wanted to highlight here, which Heather already set up for us. Again, it's just something that we've seen have a lot of success for our artists. But knowing that you can, even if you don't have a big budget, a small budget goes really well for people that are actively listening to your music. Think about your DSP partners as an aggregate of all the people that care about your music. They actually want to listen to you. And I mean, it's the people that have thumbs up. It's the people that have followed you. It's all of these people that you're able to talk to directly on their platforms. So why not target them and think about spending your money with them when your music comes out? Switching into Pandora. Pandora partnered with us in a huge way for Jason Aldean. And again, this is another example of what Alina was talking about earlier. Through their AMP site, I guess is the appropriate way to call that. They let you talk directly to your fans. So you set up the audio message and then tailor it directly to your fans. So you get to talk about how you wrote the song or put it in their voice, or even you can promote like a charity or a link to merchandise, any of these things. This is free advertising for artists. This is huge. Nobody else gives you like free advertising. So use it. I feel like I've been marketing for a really long time. And the amount of times that people forget that these free tools exist blows my mind, because I'm like, guys, you're missing out, especially on your baby artists. You're missing out on opportunities to talk to people that care about your music for free, right? So that's huge. Just want to call that out. Not that you guys need me to be your salesperson, but I love it for that. Let's see. We've got feature tracks. This is the most recent single promotion that we ran for Jason Aldean with Alina's help. The same thing that she was talking about, that 8-week promotion to drive discovery and feedback on our songs. I mean, I think with all of our work together, we were able to make it feel very organic and authentic to who Jason is. But I think by the time that Making came out, our streams across Pandora were up 9.5% just because of the activation that they had been giving us on their platform. So again, all of these things are really effective and really great ways for us to talk to the people that are listening on Pandora, to the people that are listening on Spotify. I think it's really cool that they have given us unique ways to talk to the audience that they know that they have. And, you know, I mean, it's Heather's job to dig into how people are engaging on Spotify and what kind of tools make sense to continue to roll out for artists. And I just love the fact that, you know, both of these platforms give you really great insights and educational tools. Spotify for Artists is really helpful if you want to go just learn about marketing your music. They've got full-on web series about this kind of stuff. So it's just a very, very helpful place. And the same thing with AMP. I mean, they make it very easy for you to get in there and see your insights and to see what is moving the needle for your artists and for the audience that your artist has built there. So just a really great way to empower the learnings. And I didn't use Jason as an example because his tour is already launched, but the same thing that Alina was talking about earlier, we are currently running ads for Brooks and Dunn's Reboot 2 tour. And my favorite thing about this is the specific targeting I can get to. So I can go through and I can create ads for every single weekend that are going to be tailored directly to the audience. Not everybody's hearing an ad for Des Moines when you don't live in Des Moines. And I can start and end it when it needs to start and end, and the audio can be tailored. So just another way for us to try to drive awareness for touring. And it's all free, right? Just takes a little bit of time and planning.
When you make those, I have a question. When you do those tour ads that you're running on Pandora, are you using professional voice people or the artist creating it, or how's that work?
It's a 30 or 15 seconds? I can't remember. I think you can't be longer than 30, I think.
I think the artist audio messages, I think it says like 18 on the website, okay. But I know there's some wiggle room there. So
then it's like 15 seconds of audio that you're putting in there. And so normally I'm just getting my artists to say something, right? Like record a nice MP3. I don't even need you to look pretty. A lot of the times I have to have them look pretty. They don't even have to look pretty for this. I just need a good audio message that we can leverage for that. So
got it. Nothing
super hard. Just, you have to be intentional about it. And this is also what Alina was talking about in terms of the mixtapes and playlists. She helped us do some really great ones for Jason Aldean with that launch, but they make it so simple. I can literally log in. This is what it looks like. You go in, you set up your playlist. If you want to record your own audio talking about each one, it's just right there. You can upload it. They make it as simple as possible for you. And then I just threw a bunch of stuff on here because I know that there are a couple of other DSPs that aren't represented today. And then just generic tools that I think as educators, it might be helpful to know about and think about when you're talking to your classes. First off, the Amazon for artists is artist.amazon.com. And artist.apple.com. Those two DSPs aren't specifically represented here. So I just wanted to flag on the Amazon side, it's a lot of analytics, but now it's the same pitch tools, the things that you can kind of do within Spotify, you can now do on Amazon if you are an indie artist or a DIY artist. It's really helpful to have that kind of access and information and reporting. I first noticed that Japan is a growth market for us in my Amazon stats. It's now been more us, meaning country music. It's been more prevalent in other markets now, but Amazon was the first place that I noticed we were getting a lot more people leaned in to country music in Japan, which was very interesting. And I'm here for it. I want some fresh sushi, right? And then Apple, artist.apple.com, less pitch tools and less marketing opportunities, but a lot of data. So you can log in there, you can see what's going on with your artists. They own Shazam. So a lot of times learning what's going on in the discovery phase of a song, that kind of stuff, you can dig into some of those insights and get some great learnings there. Everything else is more just platform-based. As a marketer, things that I would want you to know or artists to know exist and are important. Bands in Town is a great one. They help you keep track of tour dates, but they also help you market your tour dates. There are a ton of free promotional tour date tools within their platform, and it's all free for artists, right?
This is awesome. I love all of this and the links on here. This is like kind of putting it all in one spot. So thank you for doing that. We've got about 10 more minutes, or probably a little less than that now. But I have another question. This time for Pandora. Pandora is only available in the U.S. I'm reading here due to licensing restrictions. Previously available in Australia and New Zealand in 2012. Are there any plans for Pandora to be made available beyond the U.S. in the future? What percentage of streamed music on Pandora is U.S. versus the rest of the world?
So yes, Pandora is continental U.S. only. So our streams are 100% U.S. I can't really speak on if there's like a future plan for us to go global or to expand our reach. Right now we're continental US, so that's as much as I know right now on that.
Okay. Well, that was a pretty big question. So, all right. So since the four of you have shared a lot of both insight into tools as well as how those tools have been used, are there any examples that any other examples that you would like to share of a particular successful campaign or perhaps a campaign that wasn't? And it looks like Heather, you have a case study for us or something, perhaps?
I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I really actually just wanted to mention one more funny little tool out in the world.
Oh, okay.
There's a tool called Spotify Codes that it's kind of like a unsung hero. We don't talk about it very much, but most of us have probably seen these out in the world. It's where there'll be like a Spotify logo and then a series of vertical lines that kind of looks like a waveform. If you scan that like a QR code, it will go to a destination within Spotify. And I just wanted to call out, Amanda, your Jason Aldean bingo is what reminded me of this and inspired me to mention it. But we've seen this used really creatively out in the world by artists and fans alike. A lot of fans get them tattooed on their bodies to point to like their favorite song or their favorite artist. So not really a specific case study, but I just wanted to call that out because it's another great example of people and marketers and artists and fans being really creative with promoting artists and music that they love.
Thank you. On a follow-up to the question that was addressed to Alina earlier, but I'll address this to both of you with the DSPs. Do you have any idea of the percentage of artists that are US based versus rest of the world? Do you, on your platforms, do you have that number, how that splits up?
I mean, Alina, do you have a real answer?
I was going to kick it to you because Pandora is US only, so it's 100% US.
Right.
Take it,
That's
Heather.
Well, where the artists are based, I think is the question.
Oh, I see.
And I can't say for certain on Spotify as a whole. I mean, Spotify is global. There are millions of artists on the platform. There are about 2,000, excuse me, that is wildly incorrect. There are about 2 million users of Spotify for Artists. And right as it stands right now, the majority of those, I can't quote an exact percentage, but it's over 50%. I just don't want to say the wrong thing. My brain wants me to say 70, but my brain is full of COVID, so it might be lying. But I think it's like 70% of those users are US based, but that number is rapidly balancing out. We've seen a large amount of users from LATAM starting to get onto the platform and be more active using our tools. And we have also, I guess it obviously, but seen a lot of growth in European markets and APAC markets. It's been really inspiring to see as the tools of Spotify for Artists get localized into languages, like literally just the words on the page translated into different languages around the world, the way that users quickly jump onto that and start diving into the tools. So it says a lot about the hunger and the need for these tools from the music industry around the world, and the amount of just inclusion and equity that we can build by making these tools more accessible. So I took a little spin on that question, but...
Well, no, that was great. Yeah, that's interesting that as you create the tool information in other language, build it and they will come, I guess. And they have. So, Alina, were you going to add something?
I feel like Heather beautifully answered that question.
Okay. All right. So we've got just a couple minutes left. So I want to open it up to see if there are any other questions from the audience. I have somebody, Kelly is watching the chat for us. So Kelly, if there's anything else and you want to share it, please do. And if not, I have a couple of other questions. So
we just had one come in. Country music. Sorry, my camera's not on. Hi. Okay. Well, there it is. Hi. Country music is most popular in US and Australia. Are there emerging markets for country music? And as you can hear, I am COVID also. So Heather, we're all together there. But I'm a baritone today. But anyways, country music is most popular in US and Australia. Do you guys see emerging markets for country music?
Amanda, do you want to take this?
Absolutely. Europe, the UK, Germany. I think I mentioned Japan already. Japan was a shocker to me, and that's only been over the past couple of years. I've seen that one pop up as a market. But yes, and I would dare say it is in part to our DSP partners playlisting and putting our music available so globally. I don't know that people would necessarily natively be discovering country music had that not been happening, right? So I do think that as the globalization of everything continues to move forward, we're just going to see more and more markets where our music is going to be consumed.
Well, and that's exciting because I think that just speaks to the blurring of the genre lines, that as younger people aren't seeing it in the buckets that people like myself who came up where it was very compartmentalized. So I love that. So in the last couple of minutes that we have here, I would love to go around the room and just have you like one tip, one trick, one thing that you would like to share with our audience of educators. There's probably a few students as well, but that we can carry, as educators, can carry back to our students. So, Alina, you kicked it off. Why don't you start there?
I would just say my tip would be to lean in. There are so many do-it-yourself tools right now, and it's overwhelming. I almost feel for the do-it-yourself emerging artist class of right now that has TikTok and all these social media platforms and all these back-end tools on all these different DSPs. And it is overwhelming. But if you really take the time to research some of these platforms and learn about the tools that are at your disposal, I mean, the sky's the limit. There's a lot you can do with it.
Okay. Thank you. Lean in. I'm writing that down. Heather, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna yes and what Alina just said, because lean in and learn how to use the tools at your disposal, especially how to be cost effective with them. Like, I mean, AMP is always in my heart on Pandora, and like those are free tools. Use them. Like Amanda was saying, don't leave that stuff on the table. But my and is lean especially into the things as you see them working. You don't have to be doing everything all the time on every single platform. And I think that's what really overwhelms a lot of artists and artist marketers trying to get started. If your fans are really responding to certain activities, certain types of marketing, certain platforms, feed them where they are, and then start to try to get them in elsewhere as well. But don't kill yourself to try to get 1 billion fans on 5 different platforms. 1 billion fans on one platform is pretty cool.
Yeah.
In and of itself.
Yeah, I think I hear that from young artists a lot of like, how can I do all of this? I want to be an artist, not a content creator. And it's like, well, you kind of have to be both. Amanda, I'm sure at the art, from the artist's perspective, you hear that as well, right?
Absolutely. And, it is so much. So yes, lean in, use the data available to you, know where your fans are, know who your fans are. And the way that you actually do that is by directly having a relationship with your fans. So invest in MailChimp, invest in having direct email addresses, invest in things where you can directly talk to people. That is going to make a world of difference as you build and market your music to fans.
Wonderful. Well, I guess we're out of time. So thank you. I just want to give you a round of applause, and we'll have a virtual round of applause going as well. But thanks to Alina, to Heather, to Amanda. This was a wonderful panel. Just appreciate your interest. And again, from your past history as a MEIEA member at the student organization, MEIEA, I guess. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.